How's it going, everyone? And welcome into the Grip Lock preview of the Waco Annual Charity Open. It's an acronym for Waco.
How fun is that?
How fun is that?
I love that.
Yeah. Prodigy presents Waco down in Waco, Texas. This year, big change. They are only using Brazos East, also known as the Beast, one of many courses named the Beast.
I would say they're probably like, as far as like courses we know as the Beast, they're probably number 2 in the Beast power rankings.
I would agree.
Yeah, it's the Beast in Europe and then them. And if the Beast in Europe gets pulled out, it'll just be them.
I got to at least give them credit. The reason is because it's Brazos Park East.
Yeah.
Brazos East, Beast.
Well, they weren't going to say Breast, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I also do want to take a brief note. If you're watching this visually, you'll notice not as many graphics.
None.
Silas is actually down at the Conference USA basketball tournament producing that. So if you want to watch the graphics and product that Silas can put out, just watch that on CBS Sports.
People forget that Silas is a pro. Well, they just don't know, because I blew somebody's mind with that there. They're like, where's Silas? I was like, yeah, he's doing Conference USA basketball. I was like, yeah, Silas is legit. He's one of the real pros around here, you know?
So you have Trevor and I. We'll got to give credit to Connor. He pushed the record button.
That is true. Shout out Connor, also a pro.
Connor is a pro, but he has to edit during this hour.
Yeah.
So he can't be producing our show. So anyways, back to the tournament while you're here. 3-day event, only using Brazos Park East. The big change here also is it looks like it's back to I'm going to call it the original Beast layout, but it's not actually the original. It's the one from a few years ago. Essentially, they eliminated that new hole 16 they brought in, that like weird gimmicky par 3 next to the water. Got rid of that and brought back the old par 4 hole 15. Mm-hmm. So 15, now you have where you have the layup shy of that little like weird generator area thing, and then you can attack the green, or you can't attack the green if you have enough distance. It's a par 4, soft par 4, but a lot of danger. And then 16 is what was 15 last year, where it's, again, a soft, attackable par 4.
Yeah.
And then 17, 18 remain the same. And from what I could tell, looking at the course, looking at the caddy book, the rest of Brazos East is the same this year.
There's not much you can change, because a lot of those holes are very much cut in to be exactly how they are, and so you can't move much.
Correct. Now, when we're looking at this, the average score per round makes this the 4th easiest course on tour, only getting beat out by Nokia Disc Golf Park, Fox Run Meadows, and Brewster Ridge.
Yep.
And if you look at the average feet per par stroke, this is actually the shortest course on tour.
Yeah.
Nowadays, coming in at 124 feet. For some reference, Idlewild is at 142 feet, Brewster Ridge is at 135 feet, and the other two that are in the top 5 are European Tour stops, such as, I'm going to mess it up, but Jimmergarden in Sweden and Louisville.
Oh,
nope,
that's a tough one.
Turku course. I'll just stick with the Turku.
That's tough.
So those are the courses that are also kind of around this when it comes to average feet per par stroke and difficulty. So, I think this is exciting to be coming back here. When we look at some past player performances out here, Paul McBeth does very well out here. Kyle Klein historically does well out here. Cole Redolin, Ganon Burr, Ezra Robinson. James Proctor actually tops this list. His top finish ever is in 10th place.
Only 2 events, though.
He has 2 events, and his average score is 24 under par out here. Player who doesn't do that well out here is Isaac Robinson. He has come in the top 5, but his average score is only 14 under par.
That tells me I'd be curious to actually look into those. It's only 3 events. I bet one of those he really blew up, because
definitely.
His
top finish is top 5.
Yeah, I would say this course absolutely suits his game, I think, really well, because it's all placement, it's touchy stuff, and there's no reason he shouldn't be very good at this course. So I imagine there's an outlier, a couple rounds in there that really got him.
Yeah, now if we look at past winners last
year. Also not a great early in the year player.
True. Historically. Last year, Ganon Burr took this down, but if you go back to the last time this event was played in this format, Kyle Klein took it down. So those are some players to keep your name.
Well, this original format is why we started saying, the Waco is wacko kind of thing, because we were getting interesting winners, and it can be so unpredictable.
Well, that's what I was about to say, is Waco's always presented some interesting leaderboards, especially when it's just been at Brazos Park East.
Yeah.
Why do you think that is?
Well, the distance is the first thing to look at, right? It brings the whole field into play. And what's really to note about this course is it's very shreddable without wind, especially. So you're going to get these big fluctuations in scores, especially early. I expect to see names at the top of the leaderboard during the first round and a half, maybe even 2 rounds that you're not really expecting. You're going to see some names pop up there. Good players will still rise to the top. We've still seen plenty of really good players win this tournament. It's not like it's a fluke every year. But yeah, you have a lot of short technical holes, par threes that are short, 200-foot par threes sometimes. And so you're bringing in a large percentage of the field. It's a different style of golf than players are used to playing. And it also can be quite stressful because it's a frustrating course. If you get off the fairway at all, you have to throw a lot of frustrating scramble shots. You kind of have to take your medicine, and I think that can collect in people's head a little bit. But yeah, I think it's just so unique. And early in the season when players are still trying to find their game, especially, it's just a perfect formula for chaos. And so I think that it makes it a really fascinating event early in the year.
Yeah, I think what it really is like you were mentioning, the distance. Every tour player has enough distance to score out here.
I have enough distance to score out there. Yeah.
So, but what I also think is interesting is sometimes when you have that, it's like, well, certain play styles still have X advantage.
Yeah.
I feel like Waco is the great equalizer where forehand players historically can do very well out there. We've seen some lefties do very well out there. We've seen a lot of backhand predominant players do very well out there. Everyone can score because everyone can access the landing zones required in multiple different ways.
It's literally who's throwing the best. Because
exactly.
If you can stay out of the trouble, you're going to make birdies.
But what I like about Waco in this course specifically is there is still enough room to get in trouble.
Oh yeah.
That it's not like other courses where we've seen where it's like there is no potential for drama.
Well, and it's because it tempts you for aggressive play so many times. Forget the tight rough. There's also more open holes where it's just begging you to try and go for it.
And there's a lot of tight OB.
Yeah, ton of trouble to get into.
Yeah, there's tight OB all in the open, and the woods are your classic Texas rough where it's like if you get in there, it's a lot of times a miracle to get out.
Yeah.
And it hasn't really ever gotten much better. I can't talk about after the most recent storm that blew through Texas, if that changed this course at all. But historically, the rough has always been very rough.
Right.
I just looked at the wind. It looks like there is going to be wind tomorrow and Saturday.
That's great. What kind of wind are we talking about?
Like 17 mile an hour.
Okay, enough.
With bigger gusts.
Oh,
17 is
17
like
steady? Oh, so it's going to be windy.
It's supposed to be windy
That's
Friday
great.
and Saturday, and the wind's supposed to die down Sunday.
Okay,
So
I love that.
it looks like it should be a great, it's
a little
going to
bit
be
of chaos and then some scoring. Yeah, I think that, it's funny, like as we're literally filming this, there's a big old discussion in the debate night Discord chat on whether or not this course is boring, like what the
I love
deal
this
is.
course.
I think that, yes, this is not the brand of golf we'd want to see every event, but you need unique tour stops like this that do promote something different. And this is a course that has seniority as well. So like it kind of filled in that slot and it's been there. And yeah, this is something we won't see anything like this really the entire rest of the year. So I think it's fun for that reason. You have great history.
As much as there is the short landing zone touchy shots, you can't just blast a shot out there. And if you hit a lot of times the landing zone we're talking about is 30 to 40 feet wide.
Right.
And if you skip off of it, a lot of times it's almost an instant bogey if you mess up.
And the course it doesn't usually get annihilated. I mean, you look at what is the stat there? Only one player shot 8 under or better in all 4 rounds.
That was last year.
Well,
with the other course.
With the other course.
But if you look at Kyle Klein, when he won it, he had one of the best winning scores at the event, if I remember historically, and it was like 31 under.
Yeah.
So we're looking at a little over 10 under. I mean, if you look at Paul,
it's at least on par with other events.
Paul has an 18 under here.
That was different.
But that was before they adjusted the par.
Right.
When they adjusted the par the next year, that 18 under, which was
like a
pretty
15.
scorching, adjusted to a 15 under.
Yeah.
And that was like one of the hottest rounds. I mean, I think last year we might have seen like a 13 under. That might have been 2 years ago. We saw like a 13.
Yeah.
But like when you're looking at what players are doing at some of these more open courses that require bombing distance and stuff,
right.
Like
people,
it doesn't get shredded nearly the same. And yes, it's the 4th easiest average score per round. But what you got to think about that is that's not the top is scoring that much better.
Yeah.
It's that the scoring potential goes much farther down the leaderboard.
Yeah,
meaning the middle chunk isn't all blowing up.
Right.
They're able to still be decently under par. So it creates a very interesting leaderboard that is actually very exciting to watch, in my opinion.
Totally. You get a lot of parity. And I think what gets people is you'll see some of the shorter par 4s when they are played safely and well, they do look simple, right? Oh, you threw a little, turnover backhand 300 feet, and then you chipped up and you made birdie. But those fairways are tight. And then on a lot of the other par 4s, you're enticed to go for maybe an aggressive shot that you can try to make eagle a few times with the flex forehand or just a bomb backhand. So, I've never had a problem with this course, and I've grown to like it more and more each year. And there's not a lot of courses left on tour that have kept their roots. And I sound like one of the disc golfers I used to make fun of, but like, it is just a good course. It's proven the test of time. And the only reason a course like this I wouldn't like is if it was getting annihilated. And it's just not the case. And when that wind picks up, especially, there'll be a lot of defense.
I agree. So let's look at some storylines here. We have Ganon Burr took it down last year, as we're going to be saying a lot on this show, just because of the year he had last year.
Yeah.
And he was able to get a win at the Go Throw event last weekend, even though he reportedly has been battling some minor injuries with a finger and neck coming into the beginning of the season. Do you think we can expect him to be back at 100% coming into this weekend? And how much do you think his win last year was because of that second course versus being at Brazos Park East?
Well, I think it definitely helped. I do think Ganon is one of the most accurate players out there. You don't get me wrong. And I think he's a good putter in the wind as well. I think what that win at the Go Throw event says to me, more than dealing with the injury, they had some of the worst conditions out
terrible.
there. And the fact that he was able to have the mental toughness to win in those conditions, which stunk, I think that is a good sign going into an event that might be a little bit frustrating. I think there's also immediately a chip on his shoulder this year, and that's something that I think he plays really well with. He really takes that to heart. So I think that he will be effective at this course. He's going to have his work cut out for him because there's going to be a lot of players gunning and probably a chaotic start. But it wouldn't shock me if this is one of those events where everybody gets caught up in a dogfight and Ganon just kind of breezes through and really separates. So I'm definitely looking for him to be dangerous. I don't think the injury should be a huge concern considering he just beat some great players at a Go Throw event.
Here's my opinion on the injury and everything, because obviously Brody on debate nights had differing opinions and stuff. Obviously, I think the injuries are real. I'm not going to say that he's not dealing with anything. But what I will say is I think that the Go Throw event proves that it's not going to hold him back.
No.
But what I think, and we talked about this before, is whether it's good or bad, Ganon, I think, when he doesn't win, he has to have an excuse that basically justifies what kept him back.
Yeah.
And what that's proven is it allows his confidence to stay very high.
Yeah.
Because now all he has to do coming into this weekend is convince himself that his neck doesn't hurt. And he's like, well, the only reason I lost before was my neck hurt. I'm dominant.
I don't know that he can believe that that his game is actually in a funk.
That's what I'm saying. I don't think that's like...
Not that it ever really is.
It never really has been, but I think people see it on social media and are like, oh, he has to throw excuses out there. Like, just accept, take it on the chin that you played bad. My thing is, I don't think Ganon believes that he played bad.
Yeah, I don't think he... I don't know that he does either.
I think that is like the mental key to his success.
It might be.
He can't accept the fact that he's going to have off weeks. He doesn't have off weeks to him. It's just like... well, I'm having off week. Something's wrong.
I've known plenty of guys like that in the local leagues who they are just bad. But they have the same kind of attitude. But seeing it on Ganon, it definitely is different because, you can believe it.
So, with a win last weekend, to me, that probably means he's cleared it. And now he's coming into this weekend upset that people are, saying whatever they're saying, the chatter online. That's a very dangerous Ganon Burr to be walking into this event. And
you don't want to give him any momentum going into Austin either because I like him a lot at that event.
And what I do like about Ganon's bag, especially in the wind, is he throws a lot of overstable plastic.
Sure.
He throws overstable putters very well.
Yeah.
He obviously has his new overstable mid-range in his bag too. I think he's going to be able to dice this course up.
Honestly, I feel like some of the shots they were throwing at that Hideaway course are there were some similar vibes, right?
I think really only thing that could be against Ganon is that this course does bring so many people in. To where some of the other courses, it's like Ganon's going to have to beat a handful of players.
Yeah.
The Tour A is already getting deeper, but then Waco brings in everyone. Everyone that is on tour could go out and score at this place. So your list of players that you need to have a slightly off weekend per se gets a lot deeper.
Yeah.
So for Ganon, if he's at his 100% best, no one can touch him. But if he's at 80%, it's not like, well, I got to beat 5 guys. It's like, I got to beat 25 guys. And we've also seen with Ganon, he does as easily as he mentally gets himself hyped up, he mentally takes himself out of events too. So if he's not able to come out hot, we have seen historically sometimes he can check out and just never get back in it when it's an event that he could have got back in and win. So it'll be very interesting to watch, but I have a feeling Ganon's going to be back on laser focus this weekend. Now, when I look at past victors out here, it's hard to ignore Paul McBeth, who is no stranger to this course. With a change back to just the Beast and what we saw at Paul at Olympus starting the season, do you think he has a legitimate shot at winning what would be his 3rd Waco title?
I think he's a really good shot. I kind of have that gut feeling that this could be, I can see it, I can see this being kind of the Paul's back type win, starting that narrative early in the season. I like him a lot at this event. I think he slowly looked better and better. I think playing just at the Beast is, I mean, he's taken out his frustrations on this course a few times, but he's also had a lot of success, obviously. And I think that it is an event that suits him well because I think one of his strengths right now is scrambling. And so I think that is something that he's going to be able to take advantage of. And he's going to probably play the par threes really well too, which is going to be key here. So I actually like Paul a lot at this event, and I think there's a really good chance that he's going to be contending for a win.
Yeah, I got to agree. I really like Paul out here. I think really what it's going to come down to is just getting off to a good start.
That's what I'm saying. He just can't get – there is always the chance of getting in a boat race where guys come out and shoot 13, 14 under, and you come out with a 7, and it just isn't enough to keep you in it. But I think with the wind being up, that lowers that possibility.
Yeah, I really like it. And, you know, what better way to continue the Waco is Waco tradition than Paul break his year-long – he didn't get a win at all last year.
Yeah.
Come out this year, get a win at Waco.
He's going to be dangerous this year.
Yeah. And it would immediately switch a narrative. I have a similar feeling where I'm expecting Paul in contention. I mean, he played phenomenal at Supreme Flight Open. He had a rough start to that final round and was able to bounce right back and get his name back in the hat up there.
It'd be so good for the sport if he could have a little resurgence here and duel with Ganon a little bit this year. Like, we haven't really that's something we haven't gotten to see, is Ganon and Paul dueling it out, and boy, would that be good for the sport. That'd be so much fun to watch.
I think it would get a lot of people excited about disc golf again. That'd be the kick of like, all right, the season's back, let's get rolling. Another player that could have a similar effect is Ricky Wysocki, but he surprisingly has never won out here. Do you think that's just coincidence or something else going on?
I don't really know. Yeah, I think that probably is just coincidence. I mean, they've been playing this course for a while. I mean, when was the first time they played at the Beast?
I believe 2017 was his first time playing.
I was going to say, it's been quite a few years.
It might have been before that, but I believe when I was looking at 2017 was his first time.
I'm going to go ahead and just say it's really just the probability, like with the increased parity. And I mean, you look at past champions and you see it, the Big Germ. I think Big Germ won it back to back. Did he not? I think he won 2017 and 18.
He might have, yeah.
That might be wrong.
One of them was in a playoff with James Conrad.
But in any case, you have Big Germ, Colt Montgomery, Nico LaCastro, Kyle Klein. Those are names that aren't necessarily typical winners on tour. Klein obviously has a major, and he's legit. But in the eras that those players won, especially Colt Montgomery, like, these are kind of some shocking winners. So you already lower your probability there when you have those guys that kind of pop off. And so there's no reason he shouldn't be effective at this course. I will say, I don't know. Maybe it's just not being as comfortable with throwing those really floaty kind of placement type shots. But he's had success at WR Jackson, which I think is another course that requires a lot of placement shots that need to get down and stay put. So, I mean, it's Ricky Wysocki. He's one of the best in the world, so there's no reason to pretend that he couldn't win out here. But, it's been quite a run, so it would be a good streak for him to get off his back.
Yeah, I don't think that there's necessarily a specific reason that's like, because he's coming second.
You don't see him on that list of past player performance either.
True.
So,
but if you look back, I mean, part of it might just be he's played this event so many times. The only player that's played this event more than 4 times that's on that list is Paul McBeth.
True.
So I think that could be like someone who's been on tour a long time. There's going to be a few.
Sneaky Colradallan's an interesting name on that list.
He is. But if we look at Ricky Wysocki, he has come in, like, because last year he came in 10th. Before that, you go back a few years and it's like 13th. I was like, wow, has he never come top 10 other than once? No, he came in second to Paul when Paul won it in 2019 that Paul won it, where Ricky came in second. He came in third like the year before that. Like, he has put himself right on the podium, just outside of it multiple times. I think it's what you're talking about of like, this event just brings so many people into contention that it's just a different one to win. Yeah. Because it's got to be your weekend, not in the sea of 5 people. It's got to be your weekend in the sea of 25 or 30 people.
Well, you really have to be on point for 3 straight rounds because, like, it really just takes being slightly off. Ooh, my miss is a little bit right today, and all of a sudden you're just making a bunch of bogeys.
The thing that'll be interesting is maybe what has prevented Ricky from having consistent landing zone access is not having a zone in his bag.
Yeah, I would say Discraft could be the change we need.
Maybe the zone and the buzz are his 1-2.
We'll see. Is he throwing the buzz? Did you see his?
I don't know.
Did you see what I tagged you?
Yeah. Let me briefly mention that the idea that he's holding up the 6-claw Athena, and it's like basically these are the 6 times I could have won a world title that I didn't because of this guy. Gross.
Oh, By the way,
is that what his heart looks like? Just Paul's claws through it 6 times?
1 minute is a 1 minute grip block insert. But one more thing. Brody mentioned something to me on debate night that I don't know if it's true. He said it is true. Are they giving out Go Throw tour points if you share the tour?
I don't know.
He threw that out there on debate night, and I was like, "That's not real." And he was like, "No, like I researched it. Like if that's real, and we missed that, like
that's legendary."
So
we do got to look into that.
Quick insert there, but yeah,
we do got to look into that. But yeah, no, I thought it was like I don't know, man. Just holding the 6 claw up, and
all those titles I was runner
up.
That's
what I'm saying, because it's like that whole run was just all world titles that if Paul didn't exist, Ricky would have had.
That's like a troll move, like. You don't have to throw the 6 claw one.
No, just throw a normal. First off, you don't have to throw a PM line disc. This craft has so many. But if you want to, great, fine, whatever. Just don't throw the 6 claw.
That's pretty funny.
Like I looked at it. I just wanted to respond on Twitter, but I didn't. I was like, you know what, Hunter? Just leave it. I'm not even gonna say anything. But I was literally looking at it thinking, that's got to just be a reminder of, yeah. This could be me if Paul didn't exist.
I'm gonna take a screenshot, zoom in, and like put Ricky's finishes at each one of those worlds on the disc.
Well, because like 2015. I mean, most of them he was coming in like 2nd or 3rd.
Oh yeah.
Like 2014, he lost in a playoff.
Yeah.
Like I mean, that's got to be literally. He's got to have scars. He's got to have 6 scars across his heart for Paul's all his wins, and he's holding a disc up. Anyways. Back into the preview show. Ezra Robinson is coming into this event for the first time as a Pro Tour champion. Yeah. If you look at just Brazos from last year, he went 11 under and then 9 under.
Yeah.
So played this course very well overall. Totally. He's also 9th time best past player performance out here.
Yeah.
So is this someone that people should be considering for the top 3 this weekend?
I think he's the scariest player in the field. Coming off of a win, putting the disc wherever he wanted. Him and Isaac both, I think, have a similar game in the sense that they're looking for backhand placement, angle control. His putter has just been on fire. And yeah, anytime a player wins early in the season, they're a threat because that might have been their season-long goal, especially when he hadn't won before on tour. And yeah, I think he is the most dangerous player in the field. I think he's the most dangerous player in the world and that's looking at one event. Obviously, it's how we can only operate off of what we've seen. But he was really good all of last year. It was really just getting over the hump. And so it's similar to AB. AB became such a dangerous player after getting over that hump and getting that win. And Ezra's entering into that category, and I would look for him to be very good this weekend.
I fully agree. I think when we look at him and his brother seem to have a very similar gene of when their game is on. It's like they're basically flying a drone through the fairways, not really throwing a disc. And so if he's able to keep that same level of consistency and level of accuracy coming into Waco, that's exactly what it asks for.
Yeah.
So I think that he's very dangerous coming into this weekend. I'm really expecting a solid performance out of him. I think that a top 5 is kind of like I'm expecting him to be in that. And I would not be surprised if he rattled off back-to-back wins.
Yeah.
Would not be surprised at all. Now, of course, we've got to talk about this. Last time the tournament was at just one course, Kyle Klein was the winner. He had a solid start with a 6th-place finish at Supreme Flight Open and is the 3rd best player historically at this event. Do you think, which it sounds like no, is he the favorite coming into this weekend?
No, I don't think he's the favorite. I think there are too many other players to consider. But yeah, you can't forget about Kyle Klein. He's such an under-the-radar guy. He just kind of sneaks up on you anytime he wins, but he really is pretty consistent and has been good for years now. Obviously a major champion. I think he's probably one of the more underappreciated players on tour. And very highly skilled and well-rounded. I mean, that's his game. He can throw the hyzer flips, he can keep the disc, he can throw the disc very straight, and yeah, I think he'll be plenty dangerous. Obviously, he has played at this event 4 times and is high up that list, so you have to keep him in mind.
I gotta agree. I think Kyle Klein, I wouldn't say he's the favorite by any means, but I think he is going to be someone that gets himself into contention. He's proven time and time again that he's just a consistently good player that no one remembers for whatever reason. He's just very unassuming, and I feel like at some point there's going to be a switch where he just becomes this giant personality and goes on a revenge tour of you better never forget my name. But until that happens, I think a lot of people aren't worrying about, aren't really thinking about Kyle Klein.
If he makes it into a press conference, maybe I'll draw one up like that. When are you going to start your villain arc?
Yeah, there you go. But anyone else you have your eyes on this weekend coming into Waco?
Honestly, I think we kind of cover everybody that I'm really looking into. I mean, in this event, you could name just about anybody because, like you're saying, it's somebody's going to get hot, and then it's can they just keep that going? Because I am really just whatever you see in the round one at the end of the day on the leaderboard, you might just want to forget it because it's going to shift around so much. I think players are going to shoot really, really hot and then probably fade off the face of the planet by the end of the tournament.
Yeah, I think one player that we didn't mention from our stat sheet here that I got to bring up is Niklas Antila. He tied Ganon Burr's birdie rate last year at 58% and only lost by one stroke to Ganon because he had one more bogey than Ganon Burr. So I do think Niklas is a guy to keep on our radar. He's another player where, like, when he gets hot, when he gets dialed, he can go off. But realistically, I mean, you could name anyone in the top, 40 players, and it'd be like, yeah, they have a chance this week.
Totally.
That's just kind of what Waco does. So over on FPO side, this is the return of Kristin Lott.
Yes.
What are you expecting from her kicking off the season?
I'm expecting good things. I mean, this is a tournament that will put you to the test because you have to hit lines. There's not a lot of margin for error, so I think we will quickly figure out just if there is any rust there. There are not a lot of FPO players, though, that necessarily specialize in that kind of accuracy. We look at the last tournament, and really the preview we got there was based upon, distance throwers, right? You had some players like Silva Saarinen have a little bit of success as well, but this event is really flipping that on its head. So I think, you're the best in the world. You still have to be expected to compete and play well, and I'm sure there's a really high chance that she can still win this tournament. But we'll probably know really early on from the get-go if her game is in tune because, you just have to be precise out there.
Yeah, I think
it should suit her game, though.
When we look at this type of course where it's just get the disc in play.
Because, she pulled away I think she pulled away pretty good last year.
I believe so. But, when we go back 2 years, we'll talk about that next. When we go back 2 years ago to her win, that was a whole different ballgame. But when we look at this course, it screams a course that Kristin should win at.
Yeah.
Because it is don't make dumb mistakes, play within your game, and placement shots, make putts when you have them.
Totally.
That is how Kristin Lott has won pretty much.
Oh, there you go.
No, it's how Kristin Tatar had won pretty much every tournament she's won. Can Kristin Lott do it? See? Take that. No, it's how Kristin Lott, though, has historically. That's her brand of golf.
Yeah.
Is I play within my game. I put the disc where I want it. I make putts when I have the opportunity. I let everyone else mess up.
Totally.
And that's what Waco calls for. So I'm expecting her to kick it off with a win. I think the question mark is more so in my mind, is it going to be a dogfight where she has to shake off some rust the first few rounds and then come back? Or is it she's just going to put in cruise control and take it? But I am expecting Kristin to win here. Now, when we are thinking about FPO at this course, it's hard not to think about Ella Hansen in cruise control towards her first Pro Tour win before losing 5 strokes in 3 holes total. Not the final 3 holes because it was 15, 16, 17, I believe, that killed her.
Yeah.
5 strokes in 3 holes to Kristin in a moment that I'm sure she has thought about a lot more since then. She is now, since then, a proven winner on tour, including the opening event of this year. How much do you think she wants revenge at this event? And is she poised to take on Kristin and whoever else might shoot hot here?
Yeah, I'm sure there's some demons to slay there as far as her memories on this course. I do think that, the way her strengths play out here, I think if the wind is up, I think that helps her because she can throw through the wind a little bit, not have to play anything that's flipping, right? That's a big thing with FPO.
That's huge.
Some of those par 4s where she can just throw overstable hyzers and get plenty far down the fairway. I also think her scrambling, the ultimate background, I think she's a really good scrambler, can play creative shots from trouble. And I think that's another thing that'll save her. Putt has to be clicking because, She obviously, when she was at her best in the last week or 2 weeks ago, she was able to hit lines, but this is a different kind of game, and there's going to be a lot, just like MPO, there's going to be a lot more FPO players that get brought into this tournament. Owen Scoggins is somebody who we were not even really thinking about last tournament for distance reasons, and now she's going to be a big threat. Kristin's back in the field. So odds are stacked against her, but she's had success here before, and this would be a big statement to stick around for another weekend and maybe show some consistency we haven't seen in years past.
Yeah, I think that I respect Ella Hansen, and I think I'm going to pick her to win multiple times throughout this year, especially when we get to more distance courses. But I think this weekend, what you just said is true. It's a similar thing to Impia where it brings in so many more players that I'm not going to be surprised if she's able to do it. I would almost be more surprised if she choked like she did 2 years ago this weekend than if she went on to win. But I'm not expecting her to be in the position to do so, mainly just because I think that there's just so many players that have evolved, that have come in to become threats, and this is the type of course that really brings a lot of them in. And it's just not Ella Hansen's brand of golf. She's able to play out here and she is capable of it, but there's other players that this is what they do, and I'm expecting those players to perform at a little bit higher level. So I think that she really badly wants revenge. I think that the putter is going to be really the big thing for her. If her putter can get on, she can get some eagle looks that other players can't get to, and that type of stuff can really shave some strokes off your overall round and everything. But it's going to be very interesting to see how it plays out. But I'm not expecting, if we look back at that stretch of 15, 16, 17, very easy, especially from FPO, very easy holes to execute on that she went bogey, bogey, bogey to Kristin's birdie, par, birdie. And I don't expect her to have that same, break down the stretch. So the question is, can she get herself in position to where she even has that opportunity? Anyone else? Who else in the field are you looking at? You mentioned Scoggins. Any other players that you think should get brought into this conversation?
Yeah, I think I briefly mentioned, but Silva Saarinen is a big one for me. I think that really good at hitting lines, growing and getting better and better by the event. And I think there's going to be a time this year where she emerges, and I think this could be that.
Yeah, I'm thinking, I have a few names in my head. Scoggins, Missy Ganon, Silva Saarinen.
Missy needs a bounce back for
Evelina
sure.
Salonen. Those are my four that I think all of them could really do well out here. Evelina's always
If the wind's up high, Evelina, you have to
because the wind takes the putting out, and that's literally the only thing that ever holds Evelina back.
Right.
And also, she's one of the best throwers of the disc.
Yeah.
And that's what you got to like out here.
Formerly Katrina Allen, man.
Yeah, it was used to be.
For years.
And Katrina Allen, that could be.
Is she
her weekend.
Is she making her return?
I think she might have made her return.
Did she play at Supreme Flight? Yeah, that's a storyline. That's a story flight I missed. Obviously, for those of you who don't know, she had a baby at the end of last year.
I believe she is playing Waco, and she did not play Supreme Flight.
Okay,
This is her debut.
Fun little storyline then.
Yeah. I saw a picture of her.
Dude, that would be awesome.
Austin Hannum was pushing their baby around at Waco, so I knew they were out there, but I didn't know if they were there for Supreme Flight.
That is exciting. Cool.
But yeah, I think Silva Saarinen one is one that I definitely think could pop off here. Own, like you had mentioned, this taking out the distance, and it's just a placement shot.
Cat Merch.
Cat Merch would be another good one. But yeah, I think there's several players. It's similar to MPO, where this is going to be an exciting weekend. I think for FPO, a lot of players have their chance out here. It's just who's going to be able to execute on it. So let's get into our predictions. Point standings after last week. Trevor's in the lead with 7 points. I have 6 points. So jumping in to this week, we're going to kick it off with MPO. And I'm going to give my top three. That's how this works. I'm going to start with third place. I'm taking Ezra Robinson. I really like him out here. I think he's going to be able to get in the top three. I won't be surprised if he takes down the win. I'm going to put Ganon Burr in second, mainly because I can't not have him in my top three. And I'm doing it. I'm ready to be hurt again. I'm taking Paul McBeth to take the win.
Okay, well, we kind of we reversed, basically.
Oh.
I have Paul in third, Ezra in first, and Ganon in the middle.
So you're thinking Ezra for the back-to-back.
Whenever you have a guy play like he was playing, excuse me, he's just undeniable. So
I agree.
It's kind of a heat check where it's like if he does that again, just nobody can play.
I just couldn't help myself. I got that gut feeling.
You got the nostalgia
of Paul's about to win.
I feel it too, but at this point, so it used to be. When
I've been hurt plenty of times, and I'm ready to be hurt again.
My gut feeling now, I'm like I put him in a third. Like I'll throw him in there.
That's fair. Now, what's your FPO looking like?
FPO. I'm going to take Kristin to win. It's just, that's where we have to start, right?
Sure.
I'm going to take Owen in second. I think that she'll bounce back at this course, and she's going to be effective. And I'm going to take Silva Saarinen. I was thinking about taking Missy. I kind of realized that as I was recording this here, I'm like, you know what? I think Silva could have a lot of success here. I could see that.
Well, we have a similar one, too. I got Kristin and Owen, but I'm putting Evelina Salonen in third.
For sure.
I want Evelina there. And for my dark horse, I'm taking Corey Ellis. I don't know how he was outside the top 30 last year, but he was at 31st. He played the Beast.
Top 30's crowded, man.
He played the Beast very well last year. I don't know. I like him.
Yeah.
I'm going to take him.
I'm taking Bradley Williams, Texas native, I believe. Really accurate placement player. Has had some good finishes at this event. So, yeah.
All right.
Brad Will.
Well, that's going to wrap up the show. I'm going to send Trevor off to stop the recording because, again, we don't have a producer today. No Psy Guy. But I appreciate each and every one of you for tuning in this week. Get out there, watch some disc golf on DGN, Jomez, whatever, and tune in on Monday to Grip Lock, where we'll recap all the stories that go down at Waco.